Okay, I sure hope this is working because I don't really know what I'm doing, and I've already recorded 3 minutes and 22 seconds of just my face. So hopefully this is right. Okay, so we're going to read chapter 3, Chapitre 3, Elias et Monsieur Madeleine. And so far with Les Misérables, just to kind of recap, we've met Jean Valjean, qui était en prison pendant 19 ans. I guess I could do this in English. So Jean Valjean was in prison for 19 years, and now he's out free. But the first thing he did basically was steal some candlesticks and some silverware from the bishop and got rearrested. But then the bishop basically covered for him and told Jean Valjean I did that so you could like turn your life around. And Jean Valjean's like, well, you didn't say that, but okay. Sorry, there's a piece of dog hair on my screen that I'm trying to get. And so then we don't know really what happened to him after that, but then we cut to Fantine last time, and we learned that Fantine has a daughter with this higher class guy, Tholomyès, and he kind of left her high and dry, and so she, as a single mother, had to provide for her daughter, which was not easy to do at that time because an unwed mother was kind of a social outcast, so it was hard for her to find work. So she gave up and went back to her hometown, and on the way there, she left her daughter, Cosette, with the Thénardier family because she thought that it would be better for her daughter, and she would constantly provide money for her daughter and wrote letters to her daughter. And she thought it was great, except for really the Thénardiers were just pocketing that money and treating the child terribly. But Fantine doesn't know that. So then one day at her so she moves back to her hometown. Remember, we read this last time. And a strange guy named Monsieur Madeleine, which we went ahead and revealed last time because it makes it easier to understand that man was Jean Valjean, who's turned his life totally around and moved to this town, and he opened up a factory, and he's employing a lot of people, and he's a really nice boss, and he's become the mayor of the town, and everybody loves him except for one guy, a police inspector named Javert, who's kind of got his eye on him because Javert, way back in the day, used to work at a high security prison in Toulon and feels like he recognizes this Monsieur Madeleine, maybe from back then. And what really kind of sets him off is there's one day where this old guy gets crushed by a chariot, and Monsieur Madeleine runs over and like picks up the chariot off this guy, which no like normal person should have been able to do, especially an older person like this. And he's like, interesting. I really have only met one person in my whole life who could have pulled that off, and it was, this convict. So interesting. So he's kind of on to him. But anyway, Fantine has gone to this town where Monsieur Madeleine is the mayor and running this factory, and he's employed her. She works there. Everything's pretty good for a while until some town gossip finds out that Fantine is an unwed mother and gets her fired. And so now Fantine is like sinking into despair, has to sell her hair, has to sell her teeth just to send money for her daughter, although none of that money actually ends up with her daughter. And that's kind of where we left off. So we're today going to read the Alias Monsieur Madeleine to find out more information about that. So, il y avait à cette époque à Montreuil-sur-Mer une jeunesse dorée, élégante et arrogante. Un jeune homme de cette compagnie se moquait de Fantine quand elle passait. Il lui soufflait la fumée de sa cigare dans la figure. Il l'insultait. Et un jour, il lui versa un poignet de neige dans le dos de Fantine. Et Fantine insulta le jeune bourgeois. On fit cercle autour d'eux. Javert empoigna la jeune femme et l'emmena au commissariat. Fantine, condamnée à 6 mois de prison, protesta et supplia tandis que les soldats la saisissaient pour la conduire en prison. Le maire ordonna à Javert de libérer la jeune femme. Il avait assisté à la scène de la rue et il savait que le responsable était le bourgeois. Javert, furieux, obéit. Ainsi, Fantine apprit que M. Madeleine n'était pour rien dans son renvoi de l'atelier. Il déclara qu'il paierait ses dettes et qu'elle pourrait rejoindre sa petite fille à Pangari. Lots going on. Again, because we're so abridged and we're trying to do not only an abridged version but an easier French version. So much is like crammed into little paragraphs. So Fantine's living in Montreuil-sur-Mer, where Jean Valjean, alias Monsieur Madeleine, is running this factory, and she, remember, has sold her hair, she sold her teeth, she's not doing so great, and every day she walks down the street, these rich bourgeois men insult her, they blow cigarette smoke in her face. One day one of them picked up a handful of snow and like shoved it down her back, and just like she'd had enough, so she insulted him. I mean, she might have said like, I don't know, whatever to him. That's all she did. Didn't touch him, didn't lay a hand on him, just said one insulting thing, and that's all it took. So people circled up around him like, fight, fight. Okay. And then so Javert, the police inspector, of course, pops in and immediately arrests Fantine, because just assuming because of her lower class that she was the one responsible for this, and like doesn't even listen to her side of the story. He automatically takes her to the commissariat, the police station, and gives her 6 months in prison. And she's like, no, you can't do this. I have a child I'm trying to provide for. And he's like, yep, sorry. So they grab her to take her off to prison. But the mayor, Monsieur Madeleine, steps in and orders Javert to free the young woman because he had attended the scene on the street, like he'd been there, and he knew that the bourgeois guy was the one who'd been insulting her and making fun of her and whatever, and that was just kind of the last straw. So Javert is furious that he has to obey the mayor, and that he just got called out for his job. So he's super mad. And that's how, thusly, that's how Fantine learned that Monsieur Madeleine had nothing to do for her getting fired. She thought that Monsieur Madeleine is the one who fired her, but really it was just some lower supervisor who had done so. So Monsieur Madeleine wants to make it up to her because she's gotten fired from his factory, and obviously is not having a great time here. So he declared that he would pay for her debts, and once she's like on the up and up again, because again she's kind of in bad shape, remember, coughs come back, all that she can meet up with her daughter again. Okay. So, en attendant la guérison de Fantine, soignée par des religieuses, Monsieur Madeleine envoya de l'argent à Thénardier en lui demandant d'amener Cosette à sa mère malade qui l'a réclamée. Thénardier flaira la bonne affaire et réclama encore de l'argent. La maladie de Fantine empirait, le docteur ne laissait pardon. Le docteur ne laissait pas d'espoir. Monsieur Madeleine envoya donc l'argent sans discuter avec un billet écrit par lui et signé par Fantine. Le billet disait ceci: Monsieur Thénardier, vous remettrez Cosette à cette personne. On vous payera toutes les petites choses, Fantine. So while waiting for her to heal, by religious people, like nuns and whatnot are caring for her, Monsieur Madeleine sent money to the Thénardier guy, asking him to bring Cosette because her mother's sick and is like reclaiming her, like taking her back. But Thénardier like smells a good deal, and he's like, I can get more money out of this, so ask for more money. But in the meantime, Fantine's sickness gets worse, and the doctor's not really leaving any hope. So Monsieur Madeleine just sends the money without even talking about it, and signs it Fantine's name, saying, Monsieur Thénardier, you will bring Cosette or give Cosette to this person, and we'll pay for all of the little things that she would have needed. Okay. So Monsieur Madeleine décida d'aller, see this passé simple, it's all written in. Monsieur Madeleine décida d'aller chercher lui-même l'enfant. Il était en train de régler une affaire avant son voyage à Montfermeil quand Javert entra dans son bureau. So Monsieur Madeleine's like, you know what, I'm just going to go get the kid myself. So he is in the middle of, like settling up some business affairs before his trip to Montfermeil when Javert enters his office. Eh bien, Javert, qu'y a-t-il? So what's the matter? What's wrong? Qu'y a-t-il? Chassez-moi, Monsieur le Maire. car je vous ai dénoncé à la préfecture de Paris comme étant un ancien forçat. So he's like, you know what? Chase me, okay, sir, Mr. the Mayor, because I denounced you at the prefecture and police, and I told the prefecture, like the main boss guys of the police, I told them that you were a former convict. Et Monsieur Madeleine lâcha la feuille qu'il avait entre les mains. Monsieur Madeleine's like, what? And he drops the paper he had in his hand. Un ancien forçat, dis-tu? So a former convict, you say? Okay, trying to play it cool. Oui, un certain Jean Valjean, que j'ai connu au bagne de Toulon, il y a 20 ans, quand j'étais un garde chiourme. Mm-hmm. So yes, I said that your name was Jean Valjean, and I knew you back when you were in the high security prison 20 years ago when I was like a lower level guard there. À la préfecture, on ne m'a pas cru, mais j'étais sûre de moi-même si cela n'est pas possible. So Javert's like, yeah, but at the prefecture, nobody believed me, but I was so sure of myself, even if that wasn't possible. And Jean Valjean, or Monsieur Madeleine, is like, oh, à la bonne heure. Vous en êtes maintenant sûr? So he's like, are you sure now? Okay. And he says, oui, cela n'est pas possible, car le vrai Jean Valjean a été retrouvé. So Javert is like, yes, like I was apparently wrong because it's not possible. The true Jean Valjean has been found, has been caught. So I guess I was wrong. Okay. I don't really think that he thinks he was wrong, but he's like, sure, I'll play along. They found the real Jean Valjean, so I guess I was wrong. So Javert raconta ainsi qu'un certain Chapetre, voleur de Pont-Massifre, avait été reconnu formellement en prison par un ancien compagnon de bagne, un certain Brevet, que Chapetre niait bien entendu et qu'il devait être jugé à Arras. Il risquait la perpétuité parce qu'il y avait récidive. Et Javert ajouta, il y a aussi l'histoire du petit Savoyard qui, j'espère, va sortir aussi. So he's like, yeah, sorry, guess I was wrong. They arrested this guy who says his name is Chapetre. He's a thief, a voleur, and they have formally put him, or he was formally recognized by a guy that was already like one of his former like chain gang mates, this guy named Brevet. But Chapetre, il nie, he's denying all of this, but he's going to be judged at Arras. Like, they're going to have a trial. Like, we'll realize it's him. And he's risking la perpétuité. He's risking life in prison now because he was récidive. He's like a repeat offender. So he's been in prison many times now. So this is probably the nail in the coffin. He's probably getting locked away forever now. And Javert ajouta, like, there's also a story about this Petit Savoyard. I hope that that's going to come out too, and we'll all realize that that guy is Jean Valjean. And remember that Petit Savoyard was the guy that the real Jean Valjean had put his foot on his money and stolen it, even though he didn't realize that's what he was doing. Okay. So Javert sortit. Monsieur Madeleine fut rempli de pensées contradictoires. Il avait choisi de cacher son nom et de sanctifier sa vie selon le vœu de bon évêque. Pour rentrer dans la sainteté de Dieu, il devait rentrer dans l'infamie aux yeux des hommes. Eh bien, dit-il à haute voix, faisons notre devoir, sauvons cet homme. So Javert is like, that's all the information I know, and he just leaves. And Monsieur Madeleine, who's really Jean Valjean, is like, heck and heck. He's full of all these contradictory thoughts. So he had chosen to hide his name to sanctify his life. If he wanted to get right with God, he had to hide the name of Jean Valjean and do all these good deeds. And that's what he felt like what the good bishop would have wanted. But to get back to saintlyhood with God, like to make it right, he's going to have to become like infamous in the eyes of man. So he's going to have to go tell everybody, no, I'm Jean Valjean. Then they'll figure out what he did. Okay, because remember, like, basically what he's done is because he spent 19 years in jail, he's supposed to be carrying around that yellow passport and checking in at all these different places, and everyone he has to register as like a dangerous criminal. But he decided to like forget all that, change his name, and never check in with anybody. So basically, breaking parole is what he's doing. Okay. So he's like, when I reveal my real identity, that's going to suck because I'm supposed to be the mayor of this town. I'm supposed to be employing all these people. I can't, you know, be good to people if I'm in prison. So, but I guess I can't let this guy who is not guilty go to prison for me. So, okay. So, il alla chez un loueur de chevaux et de cabriolets, et il lui fallait un cheval résistant et rapide pour se rendre à Arras. So he goes and rents some horses and like a, this is usually like a convertible, like some kind of car, and the horses, and he gets on a fast horse and he goes to Arras where they're having the trial of this guy who's about to be locked up for life for being Jean Valjean. So il était 8 heures du soir quand Monsieur Madeleine entra dans Arras. Quand il arriva au palais de justice, l'affaire Champmathieu était encore depuis 2 heures. Il entra et vit l'homme assis entre deux gendarmes. Il se reconnut, les cheveux hérissés, le regard fauve et inquiet en plus vieux. So he rolls in about 8 p.m. and goes straight to the courthouse, the Palais de Justice, and Champmathieu's trial's going on. It's already been going on for about 2 hours. So Jean Valjean walks in and he sees the man that is Jean Valjean seated between two police officers, and he recognizes him. Like they had been in the same chain gang together in Toulon back in the day. But now the guy has... so an hérisson is a hedgehog. So hérissé is like spiky little hair. His hair's all spiked up. And he's got this wild, worried look. He looks much older than the last time Jean Valjean saw him, but he recognizes him. So cet homme qu'on jugeait, tout l'appelait Jean Valjean. À l'instant de clore, les débats étaient venus. Le président fit entrer les 3 témoins qui répétaient encore que l'homme entre les deux gendarmes était Jean Valjean. Alors, Monsieur Madeleine se leva au milieu de la salle et s'écria: Vous, les témoins, regardez de cette côté-ci. Vous ne me reconnaissez pas? Et aucun des 3 hommes, eux aussi galériens, ne le reconnaissait. Monsieur Madeleine se tourna vers le président et dit: Monsieur le président, faites-moi arrêter. Je suis Jean Valjean. Okay. So this man's getting judged. They're all calling him Jean Valjean, the guy who's not Jean Valjean. It's closing debates. And the president's like the guy running the trial is like, let's get these 3 witnesses up one more time. And one more time, the 3 witnesses all say, yep, that guy seated between the 2 police officers is, in fact, Jean Valjean. So Monsieur Madeleine is like, oh, okay. So he gets up in the middle of the room and he yells, hey, witnesses, look over here. Do you not recognize me? And these guys are like, no, we do not recognize you, even though they're former convicts. But think about it. Jean Valjean has like totally changed looks. He doesn't look like a convict anymore. He looks like the mayor of a town, right? He's totally changed his look. So they're like, no, we do not recognize you, even though they'd been in prison together. So Monsieur Madeleine, Jean Valjean is like, okay, turns to the president, like the judge, and he's like, Monsieur, just have me arrested. I'm Jean Valjean. Et il rappela à chacun de ses anciens compagnons de chaîne un détail que seul un galérien qui les avait côtoyés pouvait connaître. So he's like, have me arrested, I'm Jean Valjean. And he says, so you, I know this about you, and you, I know this about you, and you, I know this about you. So he recalls for each one of those, his former companions from the chain gang, people he spent all those years in prison with, he gives them a detail that only a convict who was like working side by side, tied up with them, could have ever known. Okay, so people are like, oh, dang, that is you. Okay, nobody else would have known that. Okay, so Monsieur l'avocat général, je reste à votre disposition, s'écria-t-il en se dirigeant vers la porte de sortie, mais j'ai plusieurs choses à régler avant. So he's like, Mr. Prosecutor, like, I rest at your disposition. Like, you can arrest me, that's fine. He says while he walks toward the exit, the door of exit, he's like, but I have a couple things to take care of first. Remember, because he's supposed to be getting Cosette. So he's like, I'll be back just a few days and you can arrest me, but I got to take care of some stuff. I've got to régler des affaires. So he dips. Can I use that? Okay, he dips out. And il rentra à Montreuil-sur-Mer. Et Fantine l'attendait et attendait son enfant. Et une petite fille chantait dans la cour. Et dans son délire, Fantine croyait que c'était Cosette. Jean Valjean était près d'elle. Il lui parlait doucement de Cosette. So he leaves the trial. He goes back to the town where he's living, Montreuil-sur-Mer, where Fantine has been waiting for him. She's waiting for her kid because she thought that's where he went. She didn't realize he went to, a trial in a different town. So out in the courtyard, dans la cour, some random little girl has been out there singing. And Fantine is like so sick she's delirious. So she thinks that random girl out there is Cosette, and she's like super happy because she thinks that's her daughter out there. So Jean Valjean is next to her. She's dying. He's next to her, and he's talking very softly, parler doucement de Cosette, talking about Cosette, not saying if that girl is or isn't Cosette, but just saying nice things about Cosette, because that's what Fantine needs to hear right now. And soudain, la porte s'ouvrit et Javert, triomphant, était là. Il était venu pour arrêter Jean Valjean. Le forçat lui demanda, tu bas, 3 jours de répit, le temps d'aller chercher Cosette et de la ramener à sa mère. Et l'inspecteur répondit, tu veux rire? 3 jours pour aller chercher l'enfant de cette femme. Tu veux 3 jours pour t'en aller, oui. Okay, so Fantine is basically on her deathbed. Jean Valjean's trying to, talk to her softly about her daughter, whom she thinks is there. And suddenly the door opens. It's Javert. He's very triumphant. Ha! I told you that was you. And he's come to arrest Jean Valjean. So the convict says, in a really low voice, it's fine. Can I have, please, 3 days of respite? I just need a 3-day break. I just need the time to go get Cosette and bring her to her mother. And Javert is like, yeah, right. You are so funny. You want to laugh. 3 days to go get this child. You want 3 days to, get the heck out of Dodge, to go away, de t'en aller, oui. And Fantine avait tout entendu. Oh, nice plus que parfait. She had heard it all. And she yells, Cosette n'est donc pas là? Où est Cosette? Je veux mon enfant. Et elle tomba morte. Okay, so Fantine heard this whole thing and she's like, what do you mean my daughter's not here? Thought that was my daughter. That's not my daughter? Oh my gosh. Where is Cosette? I want my child. And then she just dies. Okay. Yeah. All right. So Jean Valjean fut conduit au bagne de Toulon. So, you needed 3 days to get her daughter. Doesn't matter. She's dead now. So Jean Valjean was driven back to that high security prison, the bagne de Toulon. Hack. On pouvait lire dans le journal de Toulon, Le Moniteur, du 17 novembre 1823, un entrefilet sur un épisode survenu dans le port. Un forçat de corvée sur le vaisseau école l'Orient a porté secours à un matelot pris dans les cordes de voile et s'est noyé. Le corps de cet homme est crié sous le numéro 9430. Sorry, that's my dog. N'a pas été retrouvé. Il s'appelait Jean Valjean. Okay, so he's back in prison, but you could read in a newspaper, a Toulon newspaper called The Monitor. One day, there's this little insert there about an episode that happened at the port, on the docks, and it says this convict. What do they translate that as? So corvée usually translates as chore. So it says an annoying, inevitable work. Okay, so anyway, he the type of prisoners that you make do work. Okay, so one of those prisoners was on a vessel called the Orion, and he was trying to help out a sailor. Jean Valjean was trying to help out a sailor. This convict was trying to help out a sailor who was caught up in the cords of the sails, and he drowned. So Jean Valjean, it says, was trying to help another prisoner sailor, but he got caught up and he drowned, and the body of this man, number 9430, was never found, and it was Jean Valjean. Okay, so the newspaper is reporting that Jean Valjean has drowned trying to help a fellow sailor, convict. I'm sure that you can surmise that that is not really the case, that he has échappé. Okay, so what I need you to do right now is to answer these 8 questions in complete sentences on that paper. Cooper, stop. There's some vocabulary. At this point, you should have also, if you haven't yet, written down the new words for verb meanings quiz 4, because that'll be next week. Okay? Hope you're having fun. I don't know how to turn this off, so got to figure out what's going on here. So, merci. Au revoir. Don't look at my face. I don't know what I'm doing. How do I turn this off?